And we got Scorched Earth here. The Beards of War guys are back at it. We're going to do something a little different today. We're going to dig a little deeper into Alien Romulus. This is the new movie that's out in theaters. So if you have not seen it, there are going to be some spoilers. So
Oh
feel
yes.
free to come back, check us out after you've seen it. Let us know what you think down in the comments. So, Scorched Earth, bro, what's up with this Aliens movie, man? What do you think?
Hey, you know what? So I liked it. I'll say it wasn't. Nothing's going to compete on an alien level, in my opinion, with Aliens. So wasn't quite there, right? Aliens was a 10 for me, but this one was a good flick. Couple little things here they could improve on. All in all, I thought it was good. I'll say overall, the CGI was on point. They did a great job on the CGI, -1.
Yeah, yeah, I'll
And
say
that
that,
was
man.
Rook's face, man. As the ant. I'm like, come on, guys. You put all
Yeah,
this work into the planet. You got space was looking good. I felt like I was out there. You had the ring, and even like down on the planet, right? It looked like some form of a colony. Just kind of going through the machinations of digging up stuff and working their fingers to the bone and never really getting ahead. And then, you know, eh, you fast forward to that and you're like, come on. And I would say even the final boss, if you will call it, I was a little disappointed in that. I mean, it was interesting, different twist, but wasn't too happy with that. But yeah, all in all, I thought it was a good movie.
all right, yeah. So let's get into a little bit about it. So the movie was released August 16th. It had a budget of about 80 million, and right now globally it's at 108. So it's doing pretty good. Like I said, it kind of goes along with the alien lore. Um, I will say that the characters we have Rain, played by Kaylee Spaney, and then Andy the droid, played by David Johnson. Uh, Very good in this flick.
Yeah,
So we kind of start off with they're in this like looks like a colony where they're trying to basically get out of it, right? They want to escape the colony. Andy seems to be assigned to Rain, like his only purpose is to protect her, right? Like whatever's best for Rain is what his directive is. So of course, you have your other group of individuals who are the red shirts, right? These are the people who are not going to survive this movie. And they have this idea like, hey man, there's a salvage out there that we can go and get these pods, retrieve them from the ship and use them to escape or whatever. And it's like, okay, that's not going to work out. But we all know how that goes, right? So they get up there, they
yeah,
go on the ship, they find it, and they find some other things up there too, right? So now we have our little spores to just starting to, like hatch, right? So it literally like once you first hear that first face hugger hit the water, oh, it's on. Like
oh
it's
yeah,
like game on at that point, dude. There's no more rest. There's no more like what's going on. It's gonna be full bore like action. Starts then and there, right? I will say that giving those face huggers more like screen time definitely adds to the terror, right? Because these things are fast, dude. And like I said, they're going straight for the mouth, man. I'm like,
yep,
bite 160 psi. Use these jaws, man. Like start biting or erupt or something, man. But they're just like attacking these kids on the ship, and it went south quick. And then, like you said, we got that call back to Alien, with Rook, and he's just like, his carcass, I guess as you would call it, was still
yeah. Kind of
there,
the upper torso
right?
area.
And they haven't really mastered the back CGI, getting the facial of a person that we recognize, right? So it's different if it's someone we don't really know, but the likeness to try to capture that likeness of someone who actually existed.
Yeah,
Like you saw they try with Star Wars or Princess Leia and all that stuff, and it's like, okay, we get it, we get what you're trying to do, but it's difficult, man. It's difficult to recreate such an important figure, especially, and for it not to look kind of campy. But it still led to the show and the movie and what it was to represent, right? So it was kind of like, oh, the original mission was for the company, right?
yeah,
And of
yep,
course, with Andy being a droid, they kind of say, oh, we'll just use this chip from that droid and put it. This is why you don't download everything off the internet, guys. This is how you get viruses, right? And that's exactly what happened. You know, they downloaded a virus in Andy, and now he's like, oh, there's a new directive, and he's literally like not really protecting everyone, but kind of like, oh, listen, if you make it, you make it. If you don't, you don't, right? So it's like those scenes where he goes to close the door and the guy almost didn't make it through. He was like, well, he made it. You know, he was like, no, like all
Yeah.
matter of fact, like, well, at least he made it. I'm like, yeah,
Yeah, it
he
was
had
that.
the directive was number one.
It's like doing that. What was that? Was it Vista? I can't remember. Remember that crappy Windows
Yeah.
update way back? Yeah, just stick with 95. Right?
Right.
They updated Windows, and he just turned into, I don't know, an Apple Mac. Like, I don't know.
AOL disc coming in the mail. I remember that. Ugh.
Yeah, that's
AOL
what that was, a
message.
tiny AOL disc they put in his head, and he was all jacked up, and he was working off of rollover minutes, and it just screwed him up, man. And he was, I'll say this is one thing I didn't like about that character is it seemed like, and I get it, he was dated, right? So it was her dad originally found that droid like way back or something, or was working tinkering with it and gave it the directive to just do whatever's best for Rain. So he'd
Mhm.
been around for a while, probably hadn't gotten the updates, right?
Right.
But dude, it seemed like he was having a stroke every other scene. Like he'd fall down and be stroking out, and like, all right, come on, dude. Like, come, we get it. You
Yeah.
don't have to stroke out every time.
Yeah.
But yeah, all in all, it was still an interesting dynamic between the two. I thought they did a good job. As I mentioned, I think in our last video, I think they did really, at least in my opinion, did a good job of almost making her, whether it was purpose driven or not, seem like a younger Sigourney Weaver. And I think they were in the pocket, right, for this being a kind of an in between movie, right, between the first one and the second one. I don't know if they're going to call it what they call those, whether it's a midquel or
Right.
pre-sequel or whatever.
Mhm.
But I think they did a good job of that, and having her be accompanied by a droid, and then kind of playing off of that and making her actually have some good feelings or whatever towards in the front, as opposed to Sigourney Weaver with Rook way back, right? Because she had the issues.
Right.
But all in all, I think they had a good dynamic. And then, like you mentioned, once the face huggers started hatching, right, they started thawing out essentially, because those guys are down there messing with coolant in that one little room where there was a metric butt ton of them. And then they started thawing out all over the place and dropping out. I did like that they had so many, and that these ones seemed to be much faster than previous Alien
Right.
movies.
Yeah.
And the added benefit of them kind of getting at how those things actually can identify people or whatever, because you never really see eyes on them. And they add the whole, hey, the movement thing, them being able to
Heat.
see body temp, and like, okay, that's a body, that's a warm body. And
Right.
their way of kind of working around that dynamic and trying to fix it until somebody goes, not even hot mic, and they were talking over the headset. Wait till, like,
Mhm.
why did he even answer her? I get she was family.
Right.
I'm sorry, we're not supposed to be talking in here. Then I ain't talking. That thing ain't even gonna be on. Like,
Right.
batteries
Exactly.
out, lines out. It before we go in the door, not happening. But yeah, the movie did a good job, I think, overall. It seemed like it ended a couple of times, two or three times, and you're like, oh, but wait,
There's
there's
more.
more.
Right.
And
Yeah.
there's more. Press 2 if you want to see more, another ending, right? But yeah, it was good. The CGI, the actual physical effects that you saw there. So the guys who, I forget what they call them, but the guys who set the scene, put all the equipment out there, do all the finishing touches, from the cryopods that came up out of the floor, and it, like, everything, making it look like it was zero G. It was fantastic that they did that. They brought the guns back, like
Yeah.
kind of an advanced model. It was pretty good.
Yeah. But like you're saying, that scene where they kind of have to like get through this plethora of face huggers and like, all right, man, like get turn the temperature up in the room to match the human body, which is like 99 degrees, right? And oh, by the way, you can't sweat or you can't have an increased heart rate or anything. Like,
No
how do you not?
goosebumps.
Like, these are your countermeasures, right? Like, study your countermeasures.
Can't be
And
scared.
it was like, yeah, we all know that's not gonna work. Like, it'll work for a little while, but it's not gonna stay that way. But yeah, but then you see the aliens, man, the full grown joints, man. They literally have Paul Wall grills, man. I'm talking about diamond encrusted teeth. I'm like, man, these dudes, their bites must be much more intense now. And then you have the scene where you know you're killing them, like I said, using the zero gravity, like where you get gravity and you lose it, right? And they, as you know, the blood from the aliens is acid, right? So then once they shot all these aliens, now you have this acid just like floating around in zero
Yeah.
gravity, and you're having to navigate through that. I thought that was a great scene. I was like, man, I don't even know how you would even try to get through that, but she uses the gun to like push her around inside the plethora of acid blood that's floating around,
That
and
seems
someone
like a
wrote that, by the
setup. It seems like a setup for a video game. In my opinion, I was
way.
like,
Right.
that's a level out of a video game. I guarantee you, when they come out with another Aliens game, that's going to be in there having to dodge the floating acid, which would be cool. I mean, that's semi been done before in other games, but yeah, for sure, definitely for
Yeah, and
sure.
that's a level that's gonna frustrate the hell out of you. That's the one that used to live at pause like
Yeah.
overnight. You didn't care if it burned an image in your TV. I know I'm dating myself, but yeah, this was back when you had like remember the cards? You had to have a card. Okay, listen, young people, there was a card that you had to have in order to save games. Like this is going back quite a few years, but before current times with gaming, you literally had to pause the game and leave it on. You couldn't turn the game off. You turn the game off, you lost all your progress. So just you're so lucky not to live through those times.
Yeah,
But
memory cards.
yeah, man, like I said, you had the great line from Aliens. Like Andy shows up and he kills the alien. What does he say? Get
I
away
don't
from
know. What did
her,
he say?
you bitch.
Well, he didn't quite do it that way. He
Right.
started to have a small stroke and stutter out again, and I'm like, okay, I get it. It was kind of cool, but yeah, he it was a little weak, but it was still cool to see that they
Right.
attached it to the the
Yeah.
older one, right? Some homage there. They did a couple of those kind of Easter egg moments, like I mentioned with the guns, right? Bringing back their guns, kind of cool. A little different version. I like that little auto track feature that they had going on.
Right. Yeah.
That was pretty sweet. And like I said, Rook being in there. Okay, I mean, honestly, they probably could have done without him. Or you know what probably would have worked out better is if they had him on, because the screens were kind of old school greenish, like when it's
Mhm.
typing. They could have had like he was like his memory was somehow downloaded into that
Into
station,
the
that space
system.
station, and he was
Yeah.
in there and controlling the motherboard, the mother system, the CPU of all of this was called Mother with like U's. He could have maybe taken over Mother or whatever and
Right.
been trying to do what was best for, as he says, best for the company. And it was essentially, if you guys recall, which one of the aliens was it with the when they had the black liquid stuff and the guy was on the cliff and he drank it? It was that crappy one.
Oh
The
yeah, that was Alien
the
3.
the initial aliens race or whatever they were.
Yeah.
Yeah, that black liquid was basically them trying to perfect humans because, well, we don't have a very long lifespan out on these other planets trying to colonize, and if we can make us more perfect, kind of like the aliens, they kind of synthesize their DNA down to this super serum essentially. And I kind of like that they tied into that movie, even though that one sucked.
Hmm.
I like that they had that tie. So another piece of homage. But yeah, him trying to get that back to the company. And then yeah, once he took over um, the current day droid, that was really his mission. Was to
Right.
get that back. And it didn't matter who died or whatever. He still seemed to have some connection to Rain. Didn't quite give her the brush off, but he was more than happy to let other people die. And
Right.
probably her, maybe eventually, but yeah,
But he still no, yeah, he never lost that like initial directive, even though he had a new one that kind of overrode everything else. But yeah, man. And the one girl that gets the pregnant girl, right?
ugh,
And then listen, once you're abducted by an alien, they don't come back the same. Like, I'm no, oh, you survived somehow. Yeah, let me go ahead and put you in this pod and take you back with us. No, no, you're getting two to the head, bro. Like, if you've been abducted out of my vision and I've seen, oh, you survived an alien attack. Okay, yeah, no, something's wrong with you, and I know your baby's an alien baby, and I'm putting two in your head. Sorry, well, I'll
Yeah,
ask for
exactly,
forgiveness
right?
later, right? You know,
It's
I'm
like
not taking any chances.
you do a head count and like who's missing? One person's missing. How long they been gone? 30 seconds? Oh, that's a wrap.
Right.
When they get
That's
back,
uh-huh.
you getting it. You getting that work.
Exactly. Yeah, nobody just survives an alien attack. I mean, he literally had you. It wasn't like, oh wow, you escaped down this little tunnel. Nah, dude, you were picked up by like the tail through the chest, whatever it does. And I'm like, yeah, you know, you're dead.
Yeah, she wasn't Newt.
Right,
You ain't Newt.
exactly.
You ain't died. And Newt honestly should have died, but you know, it doesn't matter. It was aliens. That was but
I know, man.
yeah,
That
bro.
still hurt my heart, man. That girl, she went through so much. She was
Yeah.
fine till the grown up showed up. You know, once grown up show up into a situation, man, they will mess things up, man. Newt was good. She was living life,
Yeah.
hiding out in a little spot, getting the snacks and everything. And then here come the adults, fucking everything up. But yeah, man, it was like I said, it was a good movie. The humanoid alien at the end was creepy as all hell, man. That thing was just
Yeah.
again, like shout out to the designers and the people who brought these aliens to life. Really good job. This was a good movie, man. Like I said, if you want to check something out to kind of give you a little bit of thrill and action and horror, like Alien is always a good one. You know, like
Yeah.
there's a couple that may not be great, but this is a fairly good watch. I would say this is a decent watch. You know what I mean?
Most
Um,
definitely. Most definitely. I would have liked a few more, even though I didn't really jump, but a few more like jump screen
scares, right?
kind of
Yeah.
moments because I was a little disappointed in the full grown xenomorph screen time. Right. I wish there
Right.
was more of that because that would have made me have some of that feeling I had for aliens where you're like, dude, you know, your hair starts standing up. You're like, oh, dude, even though
Mm-hmm.
the face huggers are creepy and, you know, scary. But when you got the xenomorphs running around that ship, and yeah, they show them every once in a while, it's a
Right.
little different. And speaking of that, I did find it peculiar, right? When I forget who it was, oh yeah, it was when the droid gave her the guns, it was like, yeah, you know, if you pointed at them, it'll give you a little bit of time. All right. How do the xenomorphs automatically know? Now, maybe you can argue, well, they had been on that ship for a while and took over everybody, and they got accustomed to some of the survivors that survived for a little bit shooting at them and knew, oh, okay, there's a gun. But then, if that's the argument, where were any of those guns on the ship? Because them going throughout, and it could have been in other spaces, but them going throughout the ship, there were no other guns. It was just the ones in that little medical bay. And even when they went to go grab his sister after she was strung up there and pregnant and all that good stuff, one of those guns on the ground. They just had the one. He even said, you know, you only got like 250 rounds. Yeah, you guys didn't find any more guns down there.
Right.
So were those aliens ever really shot at? How do they know to stop when you point this gun thing at them? And then you start killing them off. Then they just, oh, we got to attack now. It could just be, you know, like you hit a hornet's nest and it's like, what? Oh, you're going to, yeah, all of us coming out. Okay. Could be that
Yeah.
kind of a swarm mentality. But I wish there was more interaction with them and them kind of coming after them, maybe chasing them to different compartments throughout the ship because they had
Yeah, that
36
was a big
hours.
space station.
Yeah, it
Like,
was
if you remember the
freaking
beginning when it
huge.
crashed, like it literally went around like the entire station. I'm like, okay, so there's a lot more of them that were probably on the space station, but just wherever the ship landed is kind of like where you engage, right? So, oh yeah,
Yeah,
there are probably areas that have more guns, and oh man, it ended up in a medical bay. There's not a lot of weaponry here, but this is what we have here. You know what I mean? So,
yeah,
you know, like I said, I'll kind of give them a pass on those certain
yeah,
things. And if of course, it does kind of fall in the middle of a timeline. So there are certain things you kind of have to, you know, follow. Otherwise, it becomes a different movie, right? So, like
yeah.
the whole thing with Rook, okay, I get it because that's after the initial Alien, right? So, okay, so he's there. Okay, so it's almost like okay, we're frozen in time. We come back to the end of Alien, right? So it's like, oh, okay, we're just picking up where we left off, rather than oh, it's been years where he's kind of manifested himself into the system or whatever it takes. I don't know. I don't even remember how long it was that the salvage was out there before they found it.
Yeah, I, it was a while. I think it was a number of years. I can't recall. I'm sure they said it in there.
Yeah.
But yeah, it and it even looked like it was derelict for a pretty lengthy time. And I will add, like, because the CGI, for the most part, like I said, was so awesome. When it started to crash, actually before it even started to crash into the ring of that planet,
Right.
just when they showed how close it was and skim it, I'm like, dude, that is some really good CGI. And
Yeah.
then obviously once it started to hit, like,
And
this is
yeah,
this
just
is good,
ripping them
man.
shit
This
apart.
looks realistic.
Yeah, like I would see like the rings of Saturn. Okay, I'm never going to Saturn, man. If those rings operate like that, like a guillotine, it's like a
Dude,
circular saw, you know.
it
But
was just
yeah,
shredding it.
man, that was wild. Like I said, I recommend going to see it. Um, it's a good movie, an entertaining movie.
Yeah, for sure.
If even you can, and this, and like I kind of try to look at it through the lens of, if I'm not familiar with alien movies, right? Like if I'm just someone who wants to see a movie, I think you can still enjoy this movie. I mean, obviously it does help you to know the story of Alien, but if you just want a good movie like that gives you some horror, some thrill, good movie to watch, man. I would recommend it. I
Oh
would
yeah,
say a thumbs
definitely.
up to Aliens
Yeah,
Romulus.
it gets the Siskel and Ebert 2 thumbs up for me. Not a 10, but it was good. It's definitely a watch. If it's still in theaters, I think it's worth catching at theaters, but I don't think you would miss anything if you streamed it on a decent sized TV at home or a monitor.
True.
Yeah, I don't think it's like, dude, you're not gonna get the same effect. If anywhere, it would be when they show, like, the rings, because that is kinda cool to see that, like,
Right on the big
silver
screen.
screen big. But I think you'd still, on a decent TV, or a decent monitor, you'll still get that effect. It was just that part was fantastic. But otherwise, yeah, you could stream it, but it's still worth worth a few bucks to go to the theater, I think, to check it
Yeah, I
out.
agree with that. I would say for me, those movies that are worth going to the theater for are those movies that get a reaction from the audience, right? Like when we watched Deadpool versus Wolverine, like seeing those characters on screen, like everybody that was there understood the assignment, man. Everybody was like, "Oh yes, we know exactly what that is, what it means." People are cheering, clapping. That's why I go to the theater. I go to the theater to kind of share that with everybody else. So, um, I think we kind of lost that a little bit with COVID, like that interaction with people. Like people still like to be entertained, man. People still like good movies, and it's just a fun thing to watch. And I think it's something that movies are just they're here to stay. You know what I mean? Let's get out there, let's enjoy them. Um, you know, just enjoy that time, just to just get kind of lost in entertainment and kind of get away from the things that you know are every day. You know what I mean? Like you can watch it on Netflix for sure, but are you really interacting with anyone? Are you really sharing that experience with anyone else? And I think that's what's important, man.
Oh, awesome. Yeah, for sure. And hey, we want to give a quick couple of shout outs to Ripper's After School Project. Hey, man, great to see people, great to have people around and interested in material, as well as Corn, right? And that's not Corn with the K, not the band, although that's pretty cool. But shout out to Corn. Awesome to see that you guys are, in the live. It's really cool, right? This was, I think, probably our first interaction with people on the
They,
live.
they
So
exist.
that's cool. And I agree. Yeah, exactly. They exist. I agree. It was a pretty realistic movie. It
Yeah.
definitely was pretty realistic. And it just, that goes to show I would never make a good astronaut. I'm telling you, dude.
Oh,
I wouldn't be a red shirt. I would be, I don't know, maybe a blue or gold shirt, staying on the ship and looking for the first planet to offload. Just like, go ahead and beam me down, Scotty, to somewhere like, oh, I don't know, Earth, because we
the,
ain't going nowhere
see,
else.
once I read the
No away
risk
teams.
assessment, once I read the risk assessment, it's a no for me. Like, you want to go where? And then if something goes wrong, what? Okay, you meaning I'm just out there. Like you just out there, bro. Like, oh yeah, if you like miss your, you get like hit slightly off in outer space, yeah, you're just gonna drift off forever. Yeah, no, that's a no for me. No, I'm good. Yeah, I would be no spacewalks. I'll be the most boring astronaut ever. Like, oh yeah, I just stayed in the ship the whole time, bro. And literally, I was right outside of like Florida. Like, I didn't leave far. I could still see Florida from where I was in outer space. That's no, no. But I'm thankful for those that do. You guys are the true heroes. Ripley, come on, like there's nobody better. But
Yeah.
like I said, I still give this movie a thumbs up, and definitely check it out. But man, what else you got for him, Scripture? Anything good, man? You wanna drop off any last parting words of wisdom?
I will say this. I'm gonna stay in the aliens vein, right? I hope they do continue to make aliens and do some more of these little in between ones. That makes sense. Link them up, good. Do a little homage here and there. But what I would like to see in that, which would be awesome, is Space Marines. And I know we can't get Bill Paxton back, man. We can't get him back. But
Yeah.
a good equivalent to Bill Paxton would be awesome. I would love to see that. It would be amazing. So yeah, keep up the work with this. I think they're going in a good direction with that franchise now. Not all of them. And sorry, one last note on this movie. There was another one that it kind of linked back to that I was like, eh. And I think that was it might have been. Was it 3? Yeah. Which would the one with Sigourney was like pregnant with the thing or whatever? She was like a prison camp or something. And
Yeah, that was
the
3.
mother.
That was Charles Dutton and on a yeah.
And so I didn't like. It didn't ruin the movie for me, but I didn't like necessarily, or I didn't think it was needed. And by that I mean, so when the baby alien that turned into that like 30-foot tall Skeletor cracked out monster thing with the tail, when it came back to see its mother and it was kind of like sniffing her, it was like, oh mom, and she's like, yeah, get away from me. And then it decided, oh yeah, I'm gonna eat you like one of the vampires off the Strain series.
Right, yeah, right.
That reminded me of that, like when the mother came and sniffed and was like, oh yeah, you're pregnant, I'm not gonna mess with you. And it was kind of one of those things to me, and I'm like, yeah, they could have just forgot number 3 in the franchise, but I think they're doing great with this. So keep up the good work, man, and do more, man. Do more.
Yeah. Hey, listen, I'm gonna make a put a small poll out there. Hey guys, let us know what your favorite Alien movie was. Was it Alien, Aliens, Aliens 3? We'll throw Alien vs Predator in there. Prometheus, Romulus. Just let us know, because there's only aliens for me. But you guys have opinions. I will say this. I'm blaming Spaceballs for this. Every time I see that alien pop out of its chest, dude. Hello, my baby. I can't help it. Like, Spaceballs has ruined me, and it's ruined this movie for me. I can't even take it seriously. I'm like, oh, here it comes. It plays in my head, man. But it's an enjoyable watch, man. And again, thank you guys for joining us, man. Good to see you guys out there, and just hit us up. Let us know what you think. Get in the comments, subscribe, and hey, man, Thick Nick Fury, be a door out.
We ain't found Scorched Earth out.